Across the United States, more people than ever are walking away from organized religion shaping culture, politics, and even personal identity in ways we can't ignore. Why is this happening, and what does it mean for the future of faith in America? This video unpacks the hidden reasons behind this shift and why understanding it matters for anyone seeking truth in today's changing world. Welcome to Axis of Curiosity, the channel where we explore life's biggest questions with honesty and depth. In today's video, we ask, why are so many Americans leaving religion? This powerful shift is reshaping culture, politics, and how people define meaning itself. If you've ever wondered what lies behind this trend and what it means for the future, this conversation is for you. Don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking discussions that challenge, inspire, and open new ways of seeing the world. Religion in America was never just a matter of private belief. It became a cultural glue that shaped national identity. Early settlers believed they were chosen to build a city upon a hill, a phrase that echoed for centuries in the nation's self-image. Psychologists note that shared faith systems provide belonging and reduce existential anxiety, which explains why churches became not only spiritual homes, but also centers of community, education, and moral guidance. In the 19th and 20th centuries, movements for abolition, civil rights, and even temperance found strength in religious institutions, showing how faith and social progress often walked hand in hand. For many families, Sunday services were not optional, they were part of the rhythm of life, a ritual that anchored values and traditions. To be religious was to be respectable, trustworthy, and patriotic. Even political leaders framed their visions with biblical language, reinforcing the sense that America's destiny was tied to divine purpose. This deep interweaving of religion and national life made faith feel less like a choice and more like the foundation of American society itself. The past few decades have witnessed a striking cultural shift as more Americans identify with no formal religion, a group often called the knowns. Surveys by institutions like Pew Research Center show that nearly a third of U.S. adults now fall into this category, marking one of the fastest transformations in the nation's religious landscape. Psychologists suggest this reflects a broader move toward individualism, where people seek meaning without the constraints of traditional authority. For many, declining trust in institutions, whether political, corporate, or religious, makes personal spirituality or even secular worldviews more appealing. Younger generations, raised in a digital age of constant information and diverse perspectives, question dogmas that once went unchallenged. Social media amplifies these voices, creating communities outside traditional congregations where doubt and curiosity are not only allowed but encouraged. Unlike in the past, declaring oneself unaffiliated no longer carries stigma. In fact, it often signals openness, independence, and critical thinking. This rise of the knowns represents not a rejection of meaning, but a reimagining of how Americans define belief and belonging in a changing society. Millennials and Gen Z have grown up in a world vastly different from that of their parents and grandparents, and their relationship to religion reflects this shift. Unlike older generations, who often saw faith as a duty or a cultural expectation, younger Americans tend to approach belief with questions, skepticism, and a desire for authenticity. Psychologists argue that these generations, shaped by globalization, technology, and exposure to diverse worldviews, place greater value on personal experience over inherited tradition. Many grew up witnessing institutional scandals or political entanglements that made religion appear less about spiritual truth and more about control or image. At the same time, mental health awareness, emphasis on inclusivity, and movements for gender and LGBTQ+ equality have led younger people to see religions' moral frameworks as outdated or even harmful. Yet, this shift does not signal a loss of spirituality. Instead, millennials and Gen Z often explore mindfulness, meditation, or new forms of community that prioritize openness and well-being. Their beliefs may be less rigid, but they reveal a search for meaning that is deeply human, just expressed outside traditional structures. As education levels rise and access to information expands, the tension between scientific reasoning and traditional faith becomes more visible in American life. For earlier generations, religion often provided answers to life's mysteries, but today science offers competing explanations, from the origins of the universe to the workings of the human mind. Psychologists note that exposure to critical thinking skills in schools encourages individuals to question authority and inherited dogmas, while technology places vast libraries of secular knowledge in the palm of one's hand. Debates over evolution, climate change, and medical ethics illustrate how faith-based perspectives often collide with scientific consensus, creating cultural rifts. For many younger Americans, the language of evidence and data feels more trustworthy than appeals to scripture. At the same time, this clash has sparked a broader reevaluation. Some see science and religion as incompatible, while others attempt to reconcile them through personal interpretations of spirituality. What emerges is not merely a rejection of faith, but a reshaping of belief systems in light of reason, discovery, and the accelerating pace of human knowledge. Across America, a growing number of people describe a sense of disappointment and even betrayal when it comes to religious institutions. Scandals involving abuse, financial corruption, and cover-ups have shaken public confidence, leaving many to question whether spiritual leaders practice the very values they preach. Psychologists explain that when trusted authorities fail, the emotional fallout is profound, often leading to cynicism and withdrawal from organized religion altogether. The blending of faith with partisan politics has deepened the divide, as pulpits sometimes resemble campaign stages more than places of prayer. For younger generations especially, this politicization feels less like moral guidance and more like power-seeking, turning religion into another battlefield in America's culture wars. Hypocrisy, where leaders demand purity but fail to live up to it, further erodes credibility, reinforcing the perception that institutions care more about control than compassion. As a result, many Americans still value spirituality, but hesitate to attach themselves to organizations they no longer trust, marking a turning point where personal faith is decoupled from institutional authority. As traditional religion loses its hold, many Americans are not abandoning the quest for meaning but redirecting it toward new paths. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, yoga, and even secular philosophies have become powerful tools for navigating life's uncertainties. Psychologists point out that humans are meaning-making creatures. When one framework collapses, another inevitably takes its place. For some, spirituality is no longer tied to dogma but to experiences of connection with nature, with community, or with the inner self. The rise of wellness culture and interest in Eastern practices reflect a hunger for peace in a society often marked by stress and isolation. Others turn to philosophy, literature, or even activism as sources of purpose, finding fulfillment in the pursuit of justice or personal growth. This shift illustrates that the decline of religion is not the decline of spirituality, but rather its evolution into diverse, individualized expressions. Instead of one dominant narrative, Americans are crafting many personal stories of meaning, reminding us that the human spirit continues to seek transcendence in ways both ancient and entirely new. The steady decline of religion in America carries profound implications for the nation's future. As fewer people anchor their lives in organized faith, cultural values are shifting toward individual freedom, inclusivity, and diverse expressions of meaning. Politically, this could weaken the influence of religious lobbies, while strengthening secular approaches to policy, education, and human rights. Yet, the absence of a unifying religious framework also raises questions about what will hold society together in times of crisis. Psychologists warn that while personal spirituality can offer comfort, communities built around shared rituals are harder to replace, and their loss may deepen feelings of isolation. At the same time, this transition opens space for innovation, new forms of connection, ethics, and identity that reflect the pluralism of modern America. The challenge is whether the country can balance freedom of belief with the need for collective purpose. Thank you for watching this video and exploring this important question with us. If you found it thought-provoking, please give it a like, share it with others, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more deep conversations on life, belief, and society.